Okay, so finally, yes or no. Will you or won't you come out with a letter unambiguously saying that UCU was right to reject that deal, as we asked you to do at the start?
Oh, that.
Will you or won't
right
you?
to reject? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that because it was a negotiated agreement, and I mean I can understand why they would reject it, but the problem is, once it's rejected, there needs to be something else in its place.
Right.
And we don't.
I'm
not saying that isn't the case. I'm saying those terms in isolation. Yeah. Do you think they deserve rejection or not?
Those terms? No. I think they should have been accepted. And that's what I said. That's the statement.
I don't think you would accept those terms if they were imposed on you, Sir Paul. If I may say, that's really quite shocking.
What? The negotiated agreement.
They would be imposed.
Just tell me about yesterday. What did you make of the students sitting?
It was fantastic. It was a real boost for the branch to see that students really were on our side, really were thinking about the situation that the people who are on strike are in. So it was brilliant. It was a really good feeling. And also the idea that this was something that students had done by themselves. It wasn't something that we'd asked them to do. Clearly it was a sort of spontaneous action by them, which was great.
And what did you make of Paul Curran's words? Any standout moments for you?
Well, there were a few. I mean, it was an interesting sort of hour and a half, and we watched as much of it live as we could, gathered round a phone in the pub. He said a lot of words, but I didn't feel there was a huge amount of substance to them, to be honest. And it would have been really nice to hear some sort of compassion or some sympathy perhaps for his staff. Didn't hear anything like that, and didn't really hear much for the students either.
Get your opinion on that, and what happened with the students yesterday and the sitting.
So what was really amazing from a personal point of view is it was led by journalism students, international journalism students, of course one of the courses I look after, so that was quite like a exciting moment, and I think it really gave everybody on strike a real boost. City students tend to be quite apolitical. They're not very mobilised, and then for them first sitting in 25 years, it just everybody was astounded, excited, really impressed, and then the fact that like the questioning. I mean, he is quite a slippery character. He is a Neil, but they kept going. Like Jess, Holly, Ben, they just like kept the questions up, kept trying to needle him, and they did have him rattled, which I think is just testament to like the transformation the strike has had both on staff and students.
And how do you feel about what Mr. Curran had to say himself?
Well, it was his usual sort of rehearsed lines, and it was, some of it was a bit illuminating, sort of the way he alluded to VCs saying and VCs doing being two different things.
Okay.
The double deductions, how he didn't see it as an aggressive tactic, was his usual sort of rhetoric, and I think it's quite interesting that he had to have his words printed out. He didn't know them, and I'm not saying that we all know them, our arguments, but like if you have conviction in what you're arguing, you can respond on things without a prompt, which obviously he couldn't. And the fact that he had to fold up the piece of paper afterwards to stop it shaking really showed that students had him on the back foot.
Okay, great. And what now? So today the strike ends for now.
Yeah. So
what's the future hold?
So we pause on strike action. And we go to ASOS, Action Short Strike, so there'll be no rescheduling, no covering of teaching. We're trying to brief our members about assessments, so that if assessments have been impacted, they try and either drop questions from exams, advise students not to do certain essay questions, and say the stuff you've been taught is the stuff that will come up. And we're going to have a branch meeting where we're going to get members in, because some members haven't been striking, so it's good to inform them.
Sure.
We've got a student meeting Thursday from 4 till 6 in AG21, where we're going to get students in, get them to ask us questions, get the discussion going.
Great.
We're going to have some flyers for them as well, probably quite detailed on what the proposal was, why we rejected it, etc.
Okay. Listen, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks very
Cool.
much.